I rise this morning in support of this legislation, particularly section number 1. And the reason for that, Mr. Speaker, I want to kind of take you down memory lane here, tell you the story about a life. Life is a work in progress, and sort of a story of a legislator over the last 5 years. The old saying goes, just when you're making plans in life, life has plans for you. And I've learned that sort of the hard way over the last 5 years. When I first came here as a legislator, I was a member of the banking committee, and there was as I was in the freshman class with Chairman Doucette, who is now Chairman Doucette, and there was a piece of legislation before us on the foreclosure mediation process, and helping those who are that are struggling, those who are trying to get back on their feet, trying to do the right thing, and to give people the right opportunity. I think any of us as legislators, we're all here. I truly believe most of us are here to do the right thing. We may have different views on how to get to the end goal, how to get to the result, but we're all here, I think, to try to make Connecticut a better place for our residents, for our families, for children, for our seniors. And there was this legislation that I was looking at as a freshman. I had some concerns as far as how effective is it for the whole. Does this foreclosure mediation program work? Is it effective? And does it bear results and bear fruit for those who need it most? At the time, there was not a lot of tracking on it, so I had ended up opposing the legislation. And I suppose as legislators, we're still human beings, and I suppose myself, just like anybody else, can have a change of heart. And I have a change of heart when it came to this legislation. This again, I want to make very, very clear. This legislation is not just about Brian Lanoue. This goes far beyond just me. But I'm somebody who had to. I had experienced some financial difficulties, which led to, unfortunately, my personal home going into the foreclosure process, and I needed to go through foreclosure mediation. I had experienced that through I went through the judicial branch. Had a very fair mediator, somebody who brought myself and the lending institution to the table. And we were able to negotiate and work out. And she was very fair. And but there was unfortunately when I was able to get back on my feet, get other employment, was able to save my house. Now somebody that just had gotten rightfully employed, when it came to the actual mortgage, when we came to the agreement, the lending institution had demanded essentially two payments back to back. So for example, if it was roughly the 15th of the month, they wanted the first payment. We'll use the month of May, for example. And this has happened to other people, and I will get to this. But let's use the month of May, May 15th. If it was May 15th when the agreement was going to be signed and entered into, they would demand the first payment. They wanted the first payment due May 1st, and then they'd have to come up with yet another payment that would have been due the next first of the month. So within 15 days, somebody who's just getting back on their feet, somebody who's just getting gainfully employed, would have to come up with two payments. Fortunately, I was in a position where I was able to do that, but I learned the hard way by going through this process that it does. Number one, the process does work. I think the program is solid, and I have learned that since then. There are other people that are not as fortunate. Before my experience, I heard from somebody who went through a very similar experience. Somebody who had gotten laid off from long-term employment unexpectedly, lost their job, home went into foreclosure, and went through fortunately, they were able to get new employment, but they were just getting back on their feet. And they got whacked with the same type of agreement where they had to come up with two payments in literally less than 1 month's time. which made it nearly almost impossible for them to live up to the agreement, which was already going to set them backwards. So what's been going on, and I have learned this from others, we heard testimony from Jeff Gentes from the Connecticut Fair Housing Association and others, that they have clients with very similar experiences. So overall, I think our banking, our lending institutions are fair. They want to do the right thing, and they want the homeowner to succeed. But there are those, unfortunately, cases where that hasn't been the case, and this legislation goes a long way to cleaning that up and to making sure that the Ezekiel Santiago foreclosure mediation process is effective. And this legislation simply but effectively says that the first payment under the new modification agreement would make sure that the borrower, the homeowner, that first payment will be due 15 days after the agreement is signed, to make sure we give them every single opportunity to make good on their mortgage, on their payment, and that they can get back on their feet and continue to do right. And again, I want to make very clear as I outline my story, Mr. Speaker, this is going to be great for that widower who has young children who may need to have taken on a second job to make ends meet. Or again, that gentleman who has a family who became unemployed all of a sudden, who's getting back on their feet. It's to make sure people who are trying to do right succeed. And that's what this is about. And I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, first of all, thank the chairman of the committee, Representative Doucette, co-chair Senator Miller, as well as the ranking member, Tom Delnicki, in this chamber. I went to Representative Delnicki with this right after we had re-election. He committed his support. He said he would do everything he can to help get this passed. He was good to his word, and I want to commend him as well as Senator Berthel and the entire banking committee for just being so open and listening to the problem that many were facing in the state, getting the language right. And I also want to thank the banking industry for doing right and coming to the table, working on the language, making sure it's amendable to everybody, as well as Jeff Gentes from the Connecticut Fair Housing Association. I'm very proud of this. I'm very proud of where we are today on this and the bipartisan nature that we're all experiencing. So again, I rise in very strong support of this legislation. I think it's a good day for the homeowners of Connecticut, and I thank you for raising the bill and calling it today, and I'm proud to support this. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.